Welcome to This Week in Money, the source for market opinions. David Morgan is our guest. He is our go-to guy on silver. You can find him at silver-investor.com. It's the home of the Morgan Report. And don't forget, also on YouTube, he's at Silver Guru. And on Twitter, you can follow him at SilverGuru22. Hey, David, it's good to have you back on This Week in Money.
Phil, it's great to be back with you.
Less than 2 weeks until the Silver Summit's 10th anniversary. That's coming up Thursday, October 25th, and Friday, October 26th, in lovely Spokane, the heart of Morgan country.
Well, thanks.
And, of course, we can check all the information out on CambridgeHouse.com. Give us a sneak preview of what's going to be going on.
Well, such notables as Eric Sprott will be speaking, myself, Jeff Christian, Jeff Berwick, a new guy named Chris Dwayne, who has a huge following in the silver space. So it's really for all things silver. It's mining companies, it's metals companies, it's all kinds of things related to the silver market. Women in mining, which is something we don't talk about very much. There's a group called Women in Mining here in the local area, and they're very active in the mining sector. So, and we're just right next to the Silver Valley, which is in Idaho, one state away. So a lot of those folks will be attending. So it's really quite an event. After 10 years, Phil, we've really developed a worldwide presence, and we have people from basically all over the globe that attend the Silver Summit.
Just off the top of your head, Dave, what was the price of silver 10 years ago?
Boy, that's a tough one. I would say probably under 10.
Okay. Start of the year, 2012 at $28. It's been as high as 35. Been on a tear since the end of June, and currently trading just under $34. What is going on with silver?
Well, as always, Phil, it moves up and down like anything, but we've had a very tightly held supply for quite some time. And when you have a tight float like you would have in a stock, or a tight float in a commodity like silver, any new buying tends to push the price up fairly easily. And that's where we are right now. So there's always the short-term traders, the people that buy, just to look to lock in a gain for a day or a week or maybe a couple weeks and that kind of thing. And I think that's where we're at presently. I think some of the short-term guys are ready to get out. I mean, silver has made a run from basically 28 to 35 on the spot month, basis the spot month, I should say. And so some of those guys are ready to bail out. We'll probably get a little bit of softening in the market here on a short-term basis. But longer term, there is nothing that beats silver as a long-term investment as far as protecting yourself from an inflationary depression. I was on a previous show this morning, and we were talking about that people wanted to know again and again, and still do, how does silver act during a deflationary environment? And I really wasn't sure several years ago, but Phil, I'm going to guess it's been, 7 years or so. And I went back and reread Silver, the Restless Metal by Professor Roy Jastram, who, after he wrote Golden Constant and looked at what gold did during deflationary and inflationary times, went back and did a similar study on silver. And silver doesn't do as well as gold during the deflation, but sometimes it does better than gold, but it's a mixed result. You can't say with silver that no matter what happens, deflation or inflation is going to protect you. Gold, you could pretty much make that statement. With silver, he did make a conclusion, and that was in an inflationary depression where you would continue to print currency until it becomes worth less until it's worthless. That is a silver investment. Nothing in his study did better than silver does. And that's over centuries. This is not looking at one case study. This is looking at over century after century after century. So I think it's important to point out to our listeners that if that's what they think is going to happen, or even if they don't, that they should at least have some silver in their portfolio to protect against that. And I think it's an eventuality. There's never, ever, ever been a situation where an unbacked currency hasn't gone the inflationary depression route. Only when you have a gold-backed currency have you had deflationary depressions. The reason you had a deflationary depression in the 30s in the United States was it was gold-backed. Yes, Roosevelt came in and changed the gold contract with the American people and said, Americans, you can't own gold, turn it in. Nonetheless, that gold was sent to the banking system to back the dollar internationally, and it was held that way all the way through the Bretton Woods Agreement until the gold window was closed, August 15th, 1971. So gold has certainly had a very important role in monetary affairs, as silver has for a long, long time. But again, thinking about what's going to happen in the future, the history speaks very loudly, very clearly if you study the topic, and that is that silver, not gold, is the one that does the best. Not saying gold won't do good, it certainly will. When you have a government or governments that are going to continue to try to get out of this mess by printing and printing and printing some more.
David, let's look at the technicals behind silver. It looks like silver behaving much the same as gold. Looks like it's coiling up and getting ready for the next move.
I think you're right, but basis the short term and the volume and the relative strength and the things I look at, I think you're going to get a bit of a softening here. Mike Maloney, good friend of mine, goldsilver.com, put out a release to his subscribers recently. And he has a technician that does this for him, and that's fine. The guy's good. I do my own work on that. Regardless, they're looking for a dip to 31. I looked at the charts. I did an update for my members. I showed them explicitly what I see in a future short-term basis. And again, I think we could get some kind of a softening here. I don't see us going to 26 again. I don't even see us going below 30 again. But we might wash down to 32.5 or 31 level. That's possible. I'm still looking for 35 to 40 by the end of the year, Phil. I think if we get some kind of a wash, that'll be brief. It'll get rid of the weak sisters of the short-term traders, and then we're going to come snapping back rather quickly. So the coil that you're referring to, I agree. I just think that you might get a bit of a softening and kind of a bit of a bear trap, if you will. Bounce down, and the bears will say, ha-ha, look at that, silver's weak, gold's weak, and it doesn't last very long, and it snaps right back.
U.S. election, obviously on everybody's mind these days, is coming up in a month or so, and a lot of folks saying that prices are going to pretty much stay sideways until the end of the election, and then maybe after the election, depending on what happens, the precious metal prices will surge. What do you think?
Well, I think it depends who gets elected, and I think regardless, the long-term trend is very clear. It's up. But if Obama gets reelected, I think it'll be an immediate run in the precious metals. I think a lot of people that are on the sidelines or people that are even invested will invest more, and new people will come in. So I'm looking for an Obama win to be very bullish for the metals immediately. A Romney win, I think, will soften the market for some time until it's very clear that the rhetoric of these politicians is something that sounds good on TV. I don't waste my time watching it, but some people do. And the rhetoric is all that. It's just words, hot air coming out of a politician, and don't believe much of what they say because what they do is what's important, and neither one of them are really going to change the acceleration to the edge of the cliff. I mean, the Democratic Party might have their foot on the accelerator a little greater than the Republicans, but I don't think it makes much difference. We're headed toward the cliff. We're very close to the end, and it's going to happen unless there's huge policy shifts, and these policies are not going to be enacted by any of the candidates that are presently available.
We're talking to David Morgan here on This Week in Money, and let's talk about one of the other big factors affecting silver over the next little while. News from the Eurozone. It seems that money printing is just about everywhere these days.
It is, and again, going back to that study with Professor Jastrom, I mean, if you really understand what's going on and you want to prepare for it financially, silver is the place to be. And silver is really tightly held right now. We're going to see possibly a default in the ability to deliver silver or gold or both in size. Obviously, the little guy, the people that have, silver bags or silver bars or whatever at the retail level, there'll always be exchanges for silver for another commodity or land or paper dollars or whatever. But as far as coming into the market and being able to buy, 10 million ounces of silver, 20 million ounces of silver like Sprott Asset Management or Sprott, the PSLV, the Sprott Physical Silver Trust has done a few times, I seriously think, that the ability to do that is going to end at some point. So if a PSLV or a large hedge fund that buys the physical metal comes in and says, I want 30 million ounces of silver, they're going to say, hold on a minute, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
That I think could happen.
What is happening in the silver ETFs? There seems to be a lot of cash going into precious metals ETFs generally. What's happening with things like the SLV?
Yeah, the ETFs as a group hit a record high as far as amount of metal held about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's another, good, clear signal that regardless of the price, which it's been moving up, but it's not in the new nominal high territory, the funds, the ETFs, are really taking a lot of new money in, and it's obviously, making new highs as far as physical, purportedly, and I want to use the word purportedly, physical metal being held.
We're talking to David Morgan here on This Week in Money. Somebody asked me the other day about coins, the coin market, silver coins. What's going on there?
That's not talked about enough, Phil, in my view. What's interesting about the coin market is to compare it to the bullion market. I mean, you hear analysts talking about, there's 1 billion ounces of silver for investment, and that's true on the bullion side only. In other words, commercial bars, roughly round numbers, about 1 billion ounces. But equally important is the amount of silver rounds and silver coins, and rounds are considered coins, and they are. All silver coinage is also about 1 billion ounces. And that's investment form. In fact, that's one of the most important investment forms, is what's bought by the public or the small investor over time. So if you add the coinage and the bullion bars together, you're looking at about 2 billion ounces. Okay. And they're roughly 50-50. In other words, half is in bullion form and half is in coin form. So it's a very important part of the market.
Dave, let's talk about the Morgan Report and your end of the world special. This is intriguing.
Well, Phil, I'm probably the most undervalued as far as what you get for your money in the industry, and it's been that way for quite some time. When I started the Morgan Report, I actually based it on the price of silver, and the price of silver was under 5, so I charged like an ounce of silver per month, which 12 times 5 is $60. Believe it or not, I had well under 100 subscribers at the time. It was $60 a year. We moved it up to 78, and then we moved it up to 99, and then we moved it up to 129, and that's been over the last 13 years. So we're getting ready for a price increase, but I want to do something special for all the people that are loyal members, and that is that they can lock in their price at this current level for as long as they wish. As long as their membership is valid, they'll continue at $129 a year. And I also wanted to make that same exact offer to anyone that wants to come in before the Mayan calendar due date, which I thought was a cute way to do it. Instead of January 1st, 2013, I thought I'd make it the end of the world special. So if anyone out there has ever thought about getting on our basic or advanced services, you want to check out the video that's on the front page of silver-investor.com and listen to what I have to say. And, you could sign up and become a member and decide after 30 days or before 30 days it's not for you, opt out and get all your money back. It's, we're not here to twist anybody's arm. But if you do like it, you can stay on board for that price and, again, lock in forever. The prices are going up roughly 40% across the board, again, after December 21st, 2012.
You'll find David Morgan at silver-investor.com, home of the Morgan Report. Don't forget the Silver Summit's 10th anniversary. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, Thursday, October 25th, Friday, October 26th, in lovely Spokane, Washington. You can get more details at cambridgehouse.com. Hey, David, always fun. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for listening. I'm Phil Mackesy for AmericanManganeseInc.com. We're back next week with another edition of This Week in Money.
This Week in Money is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.